Hey, friends, welcome to Dr. J Vibes, another homeopathic episode with Dr. J. Welcome, my friends. So, today I have selected to speak about homeopathic etiology. So, what is homeopathic etiology? Is called causation, right? It is a big subject and very important subject. Then, why do you need to know this? Actually, you need to know this more than a physician, a practitioner, a homeopath. Because when you are familiar with this material, and then when you go and visit your homeopath, your local homeopathic doctor, you will be able to present far better way. So, because homeopathy is on symptomatology based approach, right? We discussed it in last few videos. So when you can present yourself in a better way, you will have far better chances of getting a right matching a medicine or a few medicines that matches you at any given moment, right? So one of the things you have to know is about etiology, means causation. What is causing it? The specific things that cause specific problems or any number of problems. We will go through some examples so you develop some idea what sort of causations etiology could lead to what sort of picture, the health picture, right? I am trying to avoid some terminology, right? It's better to avoid some terminology on these videos. So friends, before I present this information, do this video, the disclaimer as usual, this information is only for awareness purposes only, for educational purposes, to let my friends know the scope of homeopathy, what is possible in homeopathy, so that you can visit your local homeopath, homeopathic doctor, and you can get help from them, right? So my whole idea of doing these videos is to just spread the awareness of homeopathy, what is possible in homeopathy. So please take any advice from this video and take any of the mentioned homeopathic medicines or anything. Please don't experiment yourself, okay? So please do visit your local homeopath, whoever is nearest to you, whoever you are used to see, right? And if you are not used to them, you can find one. On this internet world, it's easy now. Just a search your area, you will come up with homeopaths, doctors who are near you. So it is good you see them, right? But with this information, idea in your mind, you will be able to present yourself far better. The better you present, the better help you will get in homeopathy, right? So that's a disclaimer. And homeopathic etiology, causation, right? So as I said little earlier, when you know, aware of this information, you will get far better help because you present yourself well, right? So specific causes, causation is very important. We went through some discussion of elements of symptoms and types of symptoms and right, characteristic symptoms we have been through in last few videos. If you haven't watched them, I highly encourage you, please go and find homeopathic videos. I do every weekend, Saturday mostly, sometimes Sunday. Today I am doing it Sunday. It depends on various things, right? Sometimes it changes slightly. So please watch. I believe there are already 3 videos on homeopathy. If you are a homeopathic fan, homeopathic lover, I'm sure you will enjoy those videos because I got some nice positive feedback from my own homeopathic community. They gave very good, they said, hey, you are doing a great job, keep doing it, right? So, so besides that symptomatology we discussed, what we are discussing today is causation, specific causes, and how they lead to some medication. I will give some examples, right? Like such as emotional shock. For example, you have undergone this day and age, right? It's getting more and more and complex and complicated life, right? So we deal with mind sphere, emotional sphere, lot of sudden shock. You hear a news on TV or reading a newspaper. My friends in Telugu, Eenadu, first thing in the morning, Andhra Bhumi, something like Deccan Chronicle, all right, or anywhere in the world, any number of, right. What they do, the best thing they do, they present whatever happened yesterday or a few days before, all the shocking news. Actually, it's a good idea not to look at newspaper first thing in the morning. It's my personal feeling anyway. Just avoid little later for the day, maybe lunchtime or but not even before sleep. Okay, maybe lunchtime, around lunchtime is better to just glance at newspaper, right? So shocks, emotional shock, injuries, physical injury, these are some of the specific causations. Etiology, homeopath looks at, they will ask you, they will probe questions at you. So what sort of, have you been through, have you exposed to anything, something happened? It could be your personal within circles, or it could be anything somewhere because of this technology, social media. Something happened in Australia. Look, you are watching, if maybe away from Australia, you are watching this from Australia right now, right? So in the United States or Europe or neighboring states in our own country, right? Something happens within seconds, minutes. You have a reel. Now reels world today, right? You get to see a reel, suddenly you get a shock, emotional, without your knowledge. It's we are humans, we have emotions, right? It happens. Suddenly you see something, a shock, or could be a physical injury, right? It's a beautiful day, you are walking outside, suddenly it's a nice and nice summer here in Australia, right? Over there in India, what's the season sort of, it's a bit late winter, right? It's a beautiful day, you go outside, suddenly you slipped or something happened, you fell down, small injury to your maybe knees, elbow, or joints, or somewhere, anywhere, right? A grief, psychological, again, we were talking about emotional shock, right? That shock can lead to grief a bit longer time. Emotional shock is sudden thing. The grief is you are brooding over it little longer, right? Any sort of suppressions, you are suppressing some sort of discharges. All the discharges, we can use so much, so many things just to suppress it, not actually to heal, but suppress, right? It's a physical suppressions, could be emotional suppression again, right? These sort of things lead, we will go into little more details and some examples, homeopathics, how they can help. We will go shortly within few more minutes time, okay? So to select a medicine that fits best at any given moment, when you presented yourself to your homeopath, that moment, whatever fits best, your psychological, your emotional, your physical condition, and you are projecting, you are presenting some causations, some etiology. Hey doc, since then, that is a word in homeopathy we like to hear. Since I heard that news, since I read that news on the newspaper, since I heard my neighbor saying this, or my children saying this, or my life partner saying this, since mentioned, suddenly I developed this, whatever. It could be a physical problem, emotional problem, psychological problem, anything. Since then is a favorite term in homeopathy. Homeopaths like to hear that. If you say since then, they make a big note of it, right? So whatever fits you, there are things called miasms homeopathy looks at. Miasms means inherited predispositions. We all have some predisposition. We will go into predispositions, miasms, terminology. We will go more details in the coming. We have to do many videos, right? That would be at least a few videos around miasms. We'll go into that, right? So inherited predispositions, exciting factors. We call some of them exciting factors. What are exciting factors? Traumas, again, the things we mentioned little earlier. Any traumas, emotional traumas, environmental conditions, sudden weather changes from cold to hot weather, hot to cold weather, or you are drinking very cold water on a hot day suddenly. So all these environmental, these are called exciting factors. Is part of causation, etiology, right? So trauma, even if symptoms seem unrelated, hey, what way this whatever I'm presenting related to this happening, this cause, what way it is related for our mind, human mind, it may look unrelated, but believe me, it's all in you, in our body, right? They are all related. Anything happened within our system, they are all related, right? We discussed that point even in the previous videos. Okay? So friends, let's go very fast. Types of causes. What are the types of causes? Etiology, right? And how homeopathic say help. Some examples so that you know how homeopathy can help. What is the scope of it? A wonderful system of healing modality, a medicine, right? So emotional causes we discussed a little earlier. Emotional, grief, fear. You are suddenly frightened. Whatever reason, you went into the dark, frightened. You went into the light and frightened, right? Whatever, any number of frights. You heard something, you got a fright of your life, right? Frightened, anger. That's one of the things. You became very angry. Something happened in the home, home environment with relations, family, right? Or at workplace, your friend from neighboring desk or whatever, or your boss, right? You develop sudden a gust of anger. Now that can lead to many psychological, physical health issues as well, right? And homeopathy is very important. You present that to your homeopath when you see them, right? These examples: grief, fear, fright, anger, shame. You felt shameful, but you forgot all about it. But you felt at emotional level, it created a strong imprint upon you. The shame, whatever reason, it's very important you recollect. I say before you see a homeopath, sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil, jot down these sort of things. If you can remember any of stuff, so that when you visit them, you can tell, right? They will ask you anyway. They will ask you a lot of questions. Believe me, if you are familiar with homeopathic practitioners, you know that anyway, right? But when you go there, they will ask. So you know now, because it's very important for them to help you. They need to know all this stuff, causations, etiology, right? Grief, fear, anger, fright, shame, bad news. There you go again. We were speaking about news and stuff earlier, right? Bad news. For example, I give one example here. Ignatia is a homeopathic medicine, a homeopathic preparation, right? For shock, sudden shock, psychological, emotional shock. Natrum more for grief. That shock leads to grief. Later you are brooding over it, right? Natrum more, another homeopathic. Again, friends, These are not to be experimented, but this is only to give you some awareness, understanding what sort of scope is available in homeopathy. This is something we need to stress upon again and again, because these are pure educational videos, right? So ignitia, natramore, we mentioned, right? Physical and mechanical causes. We are going through types of causes: one emotional, then physical and mechanical causes like injuries, any sort of minor injury. Again, if some injury, you have to be very careful, right? You consult your doctor, your practitioner, make sure nothing deeper happening, whatever investigations they have to do, radiology, x-rays or whatever, right? You know that, everyone knows this. But injuries, falls, again, overlifting, you are moving house. I'm sure we all have that experience, right? So we'll have boxes and boxes and boxes. Sometimes we may put too much into a box, and we have to lift it into a vehicle or whatever, even though we might have some help, but still we do that stuff, right? So overlifting, even for the workers, overlifting, physical thing, causes strain and injury to muscles and ligaments and tendons and that sort of stuff, right? Again, arnica is homeopathic preparation for traumas. Example, these are examples. Roostocks, right? For sprains, any sprain, roostocks is a wonderful homeopathic medicine, a preparation. Okay, my friends. Next, environmental and dietary causes, etiology. What sort of exposure to cold or heat weather? Sudden exposure, weather is changing from, right, summer to rainy season, or winter to summer. Sudden change. First a couple of days, right, we are exposing suddenly. That causes problems. They could be physical problems, they could be psychological problems, disturbances in your sleep. It could be any number of. It doesn't matter what problem. The causation is important. What symptoms it is leading to is important, but more important is you should be able to give to your homeopath the causation, right? Doctor, do you think this is what caused this? You should be able to tell, right? That helps them a lot to help you. Okay, so physical and mechanical causes, then environmental and dietary causes, right? Exposure to cold, heat, dampness, bad food, another very good etiology, causation, right? Some, you think, okay, I ate something, maybe it's not related. No, maybe that is the reason. It's not a obvious food poisoning or anything, but something you consumed could have caused not only gastric, could be completely irrelevant, could be a skin problem, could be psychological, emotional problem, you never know. So you should be able to trace if there is. These are all what? Environmental and dietary causes. These are some examples. Suppressions, we mentioned little earlier, right? Suppression of like skin eruptions. We got skin condition, right? So we have so much help nowadays. We see something on a ad or on YouTube or wherever, right? We are applying something. It is gone, eruption is gone, but it's not gone. It's suppressed sometimes. So it is important you mention to doctor, hey, doc, I developed this respiratory problem or breathing or asthma or whatever, but before I used to have this skin rash. I used this so and so, I saw this somewhere, heard about this, so I used this skin application. I noticed ever since, again, since then, right, I started having this problem. They are related. So it's very important you mention that little history, little causation to your homeopath, right? So these sort of suppressions can lead to deeper illnesses like a skin condition, rash. It goes away, but it then you start developing some respiratory little deeper problem, right? Now these are examples for some of the suppressions. Miasms, as I mentioned earlier, we will go into miasms again. They are underlying, inherited or acquired etiological factors. We will go into that stuff later. But if we can identify those miasmatic influences, they can be highly effective in helping you with homeopathic preparations, homeopathic medicines, homeopathic therapy. So very fast, we already did a little bit of time. I have a few more examples. These are excellent examples. I will go through very fast so that you develop some better idea about etiology, causations, and so that you can present these things not exactly same, but this will stimulate your mind so that you can think on your own terms and present to your homeopath. Okay, so arnica, again we mentioned arnica earlier, right? Arnica, for any sort of effects of injuries, falls, traumas, arnica is one of the best preparation in homeopathy. Ignitia, we mentioned already. Effects of grief, shock, disappointed love, disappointments, things happen, right? And distress, some sort of emotional distress. Ignitia is one of, I have excellent some of the cases from my own practice exam, but we don't have time to go deep into. But Ignitia did wonderful job, right? Roostocks, overlifting, again we mentioned earlier. If you are lifting, straining, as well as becoming wet, suddenly it's wet weather, you went outside, and that led to, could be any number of problems, skin problems, respiratory problems, fevers, or anything. Roostocks is one of wonderful medicine. So you are getting some idea about etiology and causations, how they lead to homeopathic preparations, right? Naxwamika, another homeopathic preparation for overindulgence. Having little bit of anything is okay, but over the indulgence, right? Alcohol, even food, we are indulging. Sometime we do, like all of us guilty, right? Overindulge into food, or even using medicines. Again, medicines using, it's important, you have to use, but sometimes they cause a little disturbances, gastric disturbances most commonly, right? So in those instances, Naxwamka homeopathic preparation really helps, assists, so that you can continue with your medication as usual, right? So etiology is what? Why? All the specific, often forgotten past events, emotional, psychological, physical, forgotten. We forget these things happen 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, sometimes even longer. Ever since that happened, doc, ever since I had a little fall, I had a slight hit to my head, then I developed this headache or whatever. Natron self, for example, one of the best example. If you had even a minor impact to your head that led to any sort of psychological, emotional, physical symptomatology, Natron self homeopathic preparation does wonderful job. Okay, my friend. Okay, friends, I know we have done some time already. Okay, so I have some excellent few more examples. Let's go through them very fast. Okay, headache from sun heat. That's a causation. We are talking today about causation and etiology. What causes what, right? And how homeopathy can help. The scope of homeopathy linked to a specific causes. That's what we are looking at, to give some idea to all of us, right? So headache from sun heat, there is one excellent medicine called natron carb. There is another medicine I just remember. I didn't put it down here. It's called glonine, another medicine. So we go into sun heat, there are help in homeopathy, right? Headache from bathing. You had a bathing, you are in the bath tub, you come out headache, antimonium crudum, homeopathic preparation. There is help for that sort of causes, right? Sciatica, sciatica pain in the leg, and it's a horrible pain. Nobody should get it, right? So sciatica pain, you may already have it, or it just started. You go into wet weather outside, and it suddenly starts going down all the way from back of your hip to down the whole leg, right? Your left side or right side or both. sciatica. We have depending on sites, depending on etiological causations. We have excellent help in homeopathy for sciatica. I have seen many uh, cases, sciatica cases with wonderful results. Okay, so that's one example. Sciatica in wet weather is again roost stocks. We mentioned about roost stocks little earlier, couple of times, right? For sprains, overlifting, that sort of stuff. So wet weather, sciatica, if they go together, roost stocks is one of the excellent help in homeopathy. Facial paralysis, like need not be total paralysis, but paralytic sort of symptoms in your face by wetting. Again, in the wet weather, right? You are gone out and you develop causticum, roost stocks. These are homeopathic preparations. So the whole idea of giving these examples is so that we all know there is some help for this sort of things in homeopathy, right? So they are causticum and roost stocks. Eruptions after using cosmetics. We use cosmetics, right? Particularly our family members, females, right? Cosmetics. So suddenly they develop some eruptions. Bovista, a homeopathic preparation, there is help for that, right? They can still use whatever, but they can get help for the developed eruptions. Bovista. Convulsions after vaccination. We need to take vaccination time to time, right? But sometimes particular somebody might develop convulsions, fits, sort of. Again, friends, this is a serious thing we are talking. You have to be very careful, right? You should present to your physician, your doctor, right? But there is help to thuja, homeopathic preparation for convulsions after vaccination. Coal gas, you are working in gas sector, oil and gas sector, or somewhere you are exposing to gas. Again, be careful, my friends, okay? Don't take, this is not the advice, it's only awareness, education, okay? So from coal gas, you are developing it could be any number of problems. Carbonium sulfuricum, homeopathy, carbosulf, shortly known as, right? There is help for that sort of ailments from coal gas. Asthma from measles. You have children developed measles. Soon after that, they developed asthmatic symptoms, dyspnea, having respiratory some trouble. There is help in homeopathy. Carbovage, example is carbovage, okay? Stool urging to exciting news. Again, emotional stuff we discussed today is very exciting news. Suddenly you have to rush to your toilet. Number 2, right? There is help for the sort of symptoms. Gelsemium, homeopathic preparation. There are many, but gelsemium, the one came to my mind when I was jotting down this stuff little earlier before I started video. Perspiration from unpleasant news. Again, unpleasant news. We are blaming a lot of news today, right? So unpleasant news, suddenly you are perspiring, sweating all over your body. There is help for that. Calcarea fas, homeopathic preparation, helps with that. Urging to urinate when thinking of it. You are just thinking, hey, I may need to go to toilet. Because you are thinking, now you have to rush to toilet. Number 1, right? There is help for it. Helleborus. There are many homeopathic preparations, but this is one of them leading. Helleborus. If you are thinking and you suddenly begin, you are thinking of urinating, then you have to rush to toilet urgently. You are in trouble. Helleborus helps relieve that sort of emotional sphere. Okay. Sleeplessness from excessive joy. Overjoy, we enjoyed, we have family, reunion, friends, having fun, excessive joy, entertainment, right? You can't sleep at all. Oh, you can't sleep tonight. There is help in homeopathy called coffea cruda. It comes from coffee beans actually, they prepare, right? So there is help coffea, so on and so forth, many, but we already did a lot of time today, okay, friends? So anyway, before you see a homeopath, sit down and reflect on this sort of things. If happened in your life, etiology, causations, specific causes, jot down and relate your problem to any of these specific causes, right? Now, when you do that, when you present your homeopath, if you indulge into this sort of subject, believe me, you will get wonderful help in homeopathy. Causation based, etiology based homeopathy is very, very big. Okay, my friends. Okay, I try to go into some stuff today, something very, very important. Okay, friends, we will go into more topics in the future videos. But if you are liking these sort of videos, even though it is getting a bit longer, I will try to narrow down a bit shorter in future. Okay, so if you are liking these videos, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to Dr. J Vibes channel and support me by liking, sharing, share with your family and friends. They may benefit by watching this material, as well as it helps us to develop this channel. Okay, my friends, bye for now. See you again next time on a inspirational video. As usual, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, inspiration, Saturday or Sunday, homeopathic videos. See you again, my friends. Have a beautiful weekend. See you again soon. Bye.